Happy Saturday. Today's topic, my thoughts on portable 12 volt ice water ACs. This is my Mighty Kool MK4. Bought it in 2014. At the time that I bought this, the Icy Breeze was being introduced. The Icy Breeze uses a similar technology to this, similar principle to this. They both take ice water from a cooler, bring it into a heat exchanger, and there's a fan behind the heat exchanger blowing into it, creating AC caliber coolness when ice water is being used. I would like to try out the Icy Breeze someday. I'm a staying cool in your van aficionado, and I like trying out different space coolers. This is my Mighty Kool MK4. This just uses a cooling pad. So what I like about this is when the ice water is no longer ice temperature, it still uses a cooling pad, so it could still cool with regular water like this unit. I've been using this unit more than this one because I bought this one because my last van had no working factory AC. My current van build does, so I've been using this more. I bought this one in 2015. See, they're both well used. You can see the dirt. This cooling pad's about 2 months old. This is a new cooling pad right here. This was expensive, $650. You could get an entry-level Icy Breeze for about $300. The cheapest Icy Breeze that you could get is around $300. That's with a power source, and even with a bunch of options, they go for about $400. You could get a battery option for the Icy Breezes. These now go for $550. This one's discontinued, but the company that made this made an improved model that uses a lot of principles from the water-only model. This has an option of putting an intake hose to draw fresh air from the outside, so it boosts the effectiveness of this when you're using it in your van. This one does not have an intake hose option. The new one does. So they improved this and knocked $100 off the price. So you could get an improved version of this for $550. The Icy Breezes go from $300 to $400. So they're both pretty pricey. This isn't going to be the coldest example of this demo. I just have a couple frozen water bottles in there. That's it. I did a few alterations. I had to fix it. It wasn't draining back into the cooler properly, so I made a separate drain tube so that the water doesn't build up and overflow. Here's what it looks like with the lid off. So water is going into the heat exchanger, and you can see little water right here, right there. It's going into the cooling pad. So it wasn't draining properly, and it would just fill up and overflow out of these vents, and that's why I made this separate drain tube so that it wouldn't overflow. So I modified it a little bit, and I actually bolted this into the cooler. I would like to use a bigger cooler, but coolers are sold out right now, so I'm gonna roll with this for now. I'm gonna go ahead and put a lid on this and do a temperature demo. The temperature outside 80 Fahrenheit, inside 85 Fahrenheit, 27 and 30 Celsius. So here's what I got going on in here. Electric fan, output temperature 85 degrees. So an electric fan is just going to circulate whatever air is in the vehicle. So it's just blowing air and recirculating the temperature in the van. Mighty Kool water only model, output temperature 73. And Mighty Kool Ice Water Model, the output temperature is 62.6. The reason I went with this in 2014, even though the price was expensive, was because I had unlimited access to ice at my job. We had an industrial ice making machine, and I used to fill up my 48 quart cooler all the time. This is a 28, I believe, but with my 48 quart cooler and a cooler full of ice, I would see temperatures as low as 40 degrees. And then here's the thing, with the 48 quart cooler, you would see that temperature for about 2 or 3 hours, then you would see 50 for a couple hours, then 60, then eventually when the ice water was normal temperature, it would level off to the same temperatures as this right here. So once the ice water warms up, you'll get the same performance as this water only model basically. And that's why in my current van build I've been using this more, because I have a working AC in my van and I no longer have unlimited access to ice. So I've been using this more, but I decided to start bringing this with me again. Yeah, it's more cumbersome since you have to have a cooler attached to it, but I now have a freezer with me, so I could always have frozen 1-gallon bottles to use with this. And then when it's 100 degrees outside, it's gonna be nice to have this. That's why I decided to finally start using this again, because I sleep in my van once or twice a month, and some places where I park get over 100 degrees. This is nice, but I have this, so why not use this? So that's my thoughts on this. When you pack it full of ice, hour by hour the temperature will rise, but it'll level off, with this unit anyway, it'll level off to about 70-75 degrees. That's the output temperature, so it still works without ice water. I can't say the same thing about the Icy Breeze. I wish I knew about the Icy Breeze more. I don't know how the Icy Breeze performs with just normal tap water. I don't know if it's reliant on ice water. I really like this a lot because it's not reliant on ice water. So that's my thoughts on 12-volt Ice Model portable ACs. If you have access to ice, they're really nice. I finally have access to ice on the road. I could always bring frozen 1-gallon bottles with me. So if you have a decent access to ice, these are really good. If you could fill a 48 quart cooler at your job all the time, if they don't mind, even better. At my last job, I would fill it up all the time because my last van didn't have a working AC. So I would just fill up my cooler with ice every day and use that as my AC and just leave it running in my van, so my van's always cold inside. I thought about a generator and a window AC in my last van. A window AC is $200 or $300. You got to cut a hole in your door to, vent it properly. A Honda generator is about $1,000. My friend Mike told me that to run his 5,000 BTU AC, it's about $12 a day to run it all day long. So staying cool in a van is not cheap. I think if you have the means, if you have a way to mount a generator outside of your van and you can afford it, nothing's gonna beat a real AC. I think these Ice Model ACs are the next step. So let's say your van, the comfort level is a 0. Let's say in a hot van with no ventilation, your comfort level is a 0. A fan will upgrade you to about a 3. The Mighty Kool here, I give it about a 6.5. This thing full of ice, I give it an 8.5. When you pack this with ice, I give the comfort level of this about an 8.5, and then I would rate a real AC a 10. So that's my thoughts on these ice water ACs. Not as good as a real AC. Nothing will ever be as good as a real AC, but this is the closest you're gonna get.